and I'm the executive for External Relations at the Maryland Higher Education Commission. We're delighted to have you all joining us virtually today. Many of you may be aware that this week has been designated by the United States Department of Education as FAFSA Awareness Week. We need every stakeholder in the state of Maryland committed to ensuring that students, whether young or old, complete the FAFSA and are able to achieve their educational dreams. Maryland has a strong and comprehensive higher education system, including its 16 community colleges, 30 plus private and independent four-year institutions, the University System of Maryland, and comprises 12 degree granting institutions, also 3 regional higher education centers, and a major research and public service component as well. Maryland is also home to 4 historically Black colleges and universities. MHEC's mission is to provide financial support to Maryland students and economic relief for those families who need assistance. The completion of the FAFSA is our #1 priority. Currently, the FAFSA completion rate is hovering around 33 or 34%, which is down significantly. MHEC is equally excited about working with the Maryland Department of Service and Civic Innovation and looking forward to hearing more about the service year and growth year and the special presentation for this session today. I want to thank you all in the Maryland General Assembly and your staff for being here. We need your help to push the FAFSA to be completed by those students who want to attend a post-secondary education or for the gap year and service year as well. Today we have with us one of our colleagues. I'm proud to announce Mr. Al Dorsett here from the Office of Student Financial Services, here from MHEC as well. And with that, Al, I'll turn the floor over to you to provide a FAFSA update for those who are online today.
Thank you, Mr. Coley, and I will share my screen. So let me just say, Maryland Higher Education Commission is dedicated and aims to process awards as quickly as possible for students who have been timely in completing the FAFSA in an effort to provide a clear financial aid award picture for the families to make decisions. So as many of us know, the Department of Education rolled out a new FAFSA form for the 24-25 academic year based off the Simplification Act. They wanted to have a FAFSA that, in their idea, made it easier for individuals to complete the FAFSA and submit their information. Some complications did arise, as many of us are aware. The FAFSA, or where it was previously available October 1st, was not made available until December 30th. And then even after that, the release of what we call ICER's Institutional Student Information Records, which includes all FAFSA data for all students, was released at a later point in time. So one of the major issues that came across was about 20% of applications were identified as affected by one of the 3 issues listed in the slide. Now, based off many of the issues that came during that time, MHEC, with the state of Maryland, has pushed to give students access and adjust to help students dealing with these difficult situations. One, we extended the deadline to complete the FAFSA and be determined eligible for one of the Howard P. Rawlings Educational Excellence Programs, which is the Guaranteed Access Grant or the Educational Assistance Grant, to June 1st. That also includes where students would be eligible as long as they listed a Maryland Community College school on their FAFSA, the Promise Scholarship. Additionally, where we had a priority filing date, we pushed that back till May 15th to give individuals more time because one major issue arose for students that were either citizens or eligible non-citizens. However, their parents may have been undocumented or did not have a social, and those parents had difficult times completing their parent section of the FAFSA. So the push was made to extend those deadline dates so that those students would not miss out on the opportunities of receiving funds to assist them in going to school. Now, within the issue of the Department of Education, they turned around very fast and identified two reports to provide to MHEC as well as our state institutions or institutions within the state. One report was records unaffected by known errors, and the other one was records affected by known errors. To give you an idea of how this impacted Maryland, in total, we received 136,465 FAFSA data records. Of those 136,000, 22,530 the Department of Education identified as experiencing those errors. Additionally, 15,617 of those records were rejected records, whether it may be that the parent was not able to sign their portion of the FAFSA, some information was wrong, any type of error that would cause a reject. Now, total ICERs, no errors, no rejects, so far has been 98,318. And additionally, I include information on FAFSA records that had a no value for family size in regards to income, because as we know, the Guaranteed Access Grant is based off students and families meeting 130% or falling below 130% of the federal poverty guidelines based on the household size. So based off the records that we got from the federal government and beginning kind of data, we kind of estimated the total amount funds needed based off the FAFSAs that we have. Now, this is just based off students being under the age of 26 and falling into the income threshold based off their household size. So what you see is each category of family size, what the household income requirement is, number of eligible students based off, again, being under the age of 26 and meeting those income requirements. And then we took the average award. And the average award, we took the average award for 4 years, 2020 to 2024, which came out to 13,884. So when we multiplied that, we looked at the total award amount for each category, the total amount of students that would qualify, the total award amount, and ultimately looking at how many students potentially would qualify for the Guaranteed Access Grant. Now, this is a rough estimate. There's other variables that we need to take into play that we did not have that information at the time, such as if the students were attending a in-state institution or out-of-state institution. Yes, they listed a in-state institution for us to incorporate them, but these students may choose to go out of state. At the same point of time, whether a student was an undergraduate student or a graduate student. So those different variables make it where it's really a broad kind of picture that could be lower than what we really are estimating. So current challenges. I keep mentioning family size and how the no value impacts the family size. So although the federal government will identify individual in their student aid index, their SAI, in order for the student to qualify, again, for the Guaranteed Access Grant, they must meet the income guidelines based off their household size. So in instances where the household size is not available or the family size is not available, we would not be able to actually determine if those students are eligible for the Guaranteed Access Grant. And let's talk about what those instances are. So a dependent student whose parents are not required to file a federal tax return, or independent student and spouse, if applicable, who is not required to file a federal tax return, is automatically assigned a SAI student aid index equal to -1,500, or what we call a Pell Category 1. Based off how the FAFSA is structured, the federal government does not allow the student or family to list any additional information, including household size or family size, if they identify they did not file taxes. So in instances where we have an independent student who says, I didn't file taxes, we take a family size of 1. An individual usually indicates that they had no income or low income. We can coordinate that. But in instances where it may be the student and 2 parents, the student and 1 parent, the student, a sibling and 2 parents, we don't know the household size. And based off IRS guidelines, there are thresholds that require individuals to file taxes or not have to file taxes. So our strategy for that really for us to be able to determine if those students are eligible or students in that category are eligible for the Guaranteed Access Grant is the move to add a second piece where we identify those students based off the reports that we have. And we notify those students that we need them to go into the MDCAP system and just complete a quick section where they identify their household size. Additionally, we are going to make rosters available to the institutions of higher education, in which if a student selected them or listed them on their FAFSA, and we're missing that, or we have that no value for that household size, that institution will be able to see that student, and if they've been working with that student or they have communication with that student and they know the household size, they'll be able to answer that for that student, which will remove that requirement. So 2 ways that the student can either do it themselves by going to MDCAPs, or institutions will be able to assist them as well. And just again, it's so important with the Guaranteed Access Grant because the qualifications, or one of the biggest qualifications, are the 130% within the household size or family size. So just to add on to that, we have the MHEC One app for an undocumented student. We initiated the MHEC One app this year. The MHEC One app is a all-inclusive application. So it's not an app that's on your phone, but it's one application that includes not only the section where the MISFA used to do, where undocumented students that are not eligible for federal student aid but may be eligible for state aid can complete, but it also includes the applications for all our other different grant and scholarship programs. So in this case, what we have is that it does not replace the FAFSA. If a student is eligible to complete the FAFSA, the student is required to complete the FAFSA. When the student completes the FAFSA, they are automatically reviewed to determine if they're eligible for either the Guaranteed Access Grant or the Educational Assistance Grant, as well as the Promise Grant if the student lists a community college on their FAFSA. That's guaranteed. However, there are several other programs that we have in which they are not automatically reviewed for, such as cybersecurity, teaching fellows, etc. So in instances where a student is a citizen or eligible non-citizen, eligible to complete the FAFSA, they are required to complete the FAFSA if they want to be considered for the Guaranteed Access Grant, the Education Assistance Grant, or the Promise. However, if that student also wants to be considered for other programs, they can complete the MHEC One app, select what programs they want to be reviewed for, and the MHEC One app will also establish to determine if they're eligible for those programs. On the other side, undocumented students that can't complete the FAFSA can complete that portion of the MHEC One app to see if they are eligible for the Guaranteed Access Grant, the Educational Assistance Grant, or the Promise, as well as they can also select other programs that they may be eligible for to determine if they are eligible. So that's how the MHEC One app is all inclusive. Now, the MHEC One app in many ways mirrors the calculations or formulas of the FAFSA to give the student the same student aid index, SAI, as the FAFSA gives. So with the issues going on with the FAFSA, the MHEC One app, although available for a student to complete, the output has not been imported into our production environment because we were still fixing the information with the FAFSA. And as the federal government gave updates, such as how to calculate family, household size, and everything else, we need to make sure that the MHEC-1 app and those formulas were matching. We do, after testing this week, we do plan on importing all FAFSA and MHEC-1 app applications that have been completed into our production environment of MDCAP's Maryland College Aid Processing System. And students will be able to see their FAFSA or MHEC-1 app application on Monday, April 26th. Additionally, before I go into awarding timeline, we have the FAFSA Completion Initiative, and I'll tie that into the senatorial and delegate scholarships as well. So the free application for federal student aid FAFSA Completion Initiative allows high school districts, high schools, local education agencies, and certain designated entities such as nonprofits that participate in the Next Generation Scholarship to be able to load a list of students who are graduating seniors and then receive an output report to identify if those students completed the FAFSA, if they're eligible for the Guaranteed Access Grant, or if they're eligible for the Educational Assistance Grant or the Promise Scholarship. That is not available yet until we load FAFSAs into production, just like delegates and senators are not able to see students' records that may already be applying until we load that information. Again, we have not loaded that information because we didn't just want to dump bad information into the production environment. We wanted to make sure everything was correct and we were inputting the correct information, not only inputting the correct information, but creating a strategy of communication. So for students who have our ICERs that are in, that we're waiting for the Department of Education to provide us with a subsequent corrected ICER that will have the correct information, we will identify those students and communicate to them saying the department identified that there's an error with their FAFSA. And once their FAFSA, or once we receive the corrected information, we'll be able to process them or move forward with the process of them. Whereas the students that we have a correct ICER for, we will be able to actually say we've received your FAFSA, and here's the process that we'll be doing before. So as well, like I said, delegates and senators will be able, as of April 22nd, if they have certain students, to be able to look at those records and see what students have a good FAFSA, what their SAI is, to determine if they want to award those students. We have gone out and communicated with our legislators, indicating what their anticipated annual allocation will be. We are reconciling funds from the current 23-24 academic year, and once all those funds are reconciled, we will receive or notify or provide additional communication to our legislators indicating if they have funds remaining and what those additional funds are that they can move forward and award it. But I can assure that with the allocation, the initial allocation that been provided, if delegates and senators choose to start awarding now or identifying students, they can move forward with identifying those students. Additionally, your legislators, you decide what your scholarship application dates will be. So if you choose to push back and extend your application deadline date, there is no problem with that. You're able to do that, and please do move forward with that. Again, the FAFSA data will be in the system April 22nd for students that we have received their FAFSAs or MHEC-1 apps. The students that have a error FAFSA will be identified in the system as well. So let's talk about our processing timeline that we're very confident that we will be able to meet. May 1st, we will start awarding students. And this goes for the Howard P. Rawlins Educational Excellence Program. Any student that has completed their FAFSA by April 15th, as long as they have not been selected for verification and there's no required documents that they owe, they will be awarded on May 1st. On May 15th, any student that completed their FAFSA or MHEC-1 app by May 1st, no additional documents are required or anything like that, they will be awarded on May 15th. Now, we are also guaranteeing that students that have completed their FAFSA by May 15th, and students that complete their FAFSA by May 15th, even if they're selected for verification or have additional documents they need to submit, they will be given till June 15th to submit those additional documents. So as long as they've completed their FAFSA or MHEC 1 app by May 15th, and they've provided those required documents by June 15th, we are guaranteeing that they will receive a guaranteed access award. So I talk about verification a little bit. Based off the circumstances and issues that have occurred with the Department of Education, we have really reduced the percentage of students that will be selected verification, not only by percent, but by category of student. So there's two categories of selection, automated and randomized. When I say automated, applicants that indicate that they have a general education diploma will automatically be required to submit proof of their diploma. Applicants identified as independent for other reasons than working on a master's or professional degree or over the age of 24, which are the two reasons that make a student independent within the federal government, will need to supply proof of that dependency. So let's say a student is in foster care and they identify I'm in foster care. Automatically a requirement will come in to say, hey, provide us proof, which is usually a letter from the agency indicating that this individual is in foster care. If it's a homeless individual, that individual would provide us documentation from their high school liaison showing that they're homeless. If it's other circumstances, those supporting documentation to fit that circumstance to show that they're independent. Randomized is two subgroups. So only initial applicants that have not been selected for federal verification will be selected in the first subgroup. The first subgroup is applicants with an IRS response code of 203, 206, 212, or 214. That IRS response code indicates that either for some reason the Department of Education and the IRS could not import that individual's tax information, that individual or their parents' tax information into the FAFSA, and they did a manual entry. So 203, 206, and 212, which indicates that they did file taxes, but that information could not be imported. In that case, if they are selected, we will ask for a independent or dependent verification worksheet based off which category they fall in, as well as a copy of their 2022 tax information. For individuals 214 that indicate that they did not file taxes, we will ask for that independent or dependent verification worksheet and a non-filing form for them to complete. The second subgroup is MHEC 1 app applicants identified as eligible for the Guaranteed Access Grant or Educational Assistance. And they fall kind of in the same category of subgroup 1. If they filed taxes, then we would ask for a copy of their taxes as well as the dependent or independent verification worksheet. If they indicate they did not file taxes, independent or dependent verification worksheet, and a non-filing form. And again, this is 3 to 5% of applicants in these categories. So, Guaranteed Access Grant eligibility requirements. File a FAFSA or MISMA no later than June 1. However, the May 15th is the priority awarding deadline, and we encourage all students and are encouraging and working with different entities and constituents to encourage students and families to complete the FAFSA or MHEC 1 app prior to May 15th. Based off the allocation of funds, of course, there's a limit to how much we can award in the Guaranteed Access Grant, but we are doing the strongest effort to ensure that we award all students that complete the FAFSA or MHEC 1 app by May 15th. And that's why we're pushing that all students push to complete that FAFSA by then. Recent changes, as you all are aware, high school cumulative GPA no longer required. So even a student that did not qualify for the Guaranteed Access Grant last year because they did not have the GPA may qualify this year. Even a student who did not qualify because income. If for any reason their parents' income dropped, they would qualify this year as long as they meet the eligibility requirement. So basically what I'm saying is regardless if a student did not qualify in previous years, based off the current legislation, these students would now be eligible. Even if the student is a junior in college, if they meet the eligibility requirements, they will be eligible for the guaranteed access. The current award amount is projected at $22,100 for this upcoming academic year. So awarding priorities, because of course, as I've said, there's a certain allocation that we receive. So our award priorities are always GA renewals first, EA renewals because they've received the funds prior, and then GA initials. EA initials will not or not anticipated to be awarded until at least the end of June, after all GA students' renewals and initials have been awarded, for us to determine if there are remaining funds available to award EA initials to students. And again, MHEC aims to process awards as quickly as possible for students who have been timely in the FAFSA submission, in an effort to provide a clear financial reward picture for the families to make the best decisions and choices for them. That is the end of my presentation. So, Derek, I'll open up if there's any questions.
Al, thank you so much for that informative presentation. Also, thank you for providing the insightful information regarding the GA requirements. And with that, we do have one question in the chat box. And Delegate Solomon, I see your hand raised as well. I will begin with the chat box, and then I will turn it over to you, Delegate Solomon. 1 second, please. One question from the chat box. What date will legislators receive balance allocation updates?
So balance allocation updates, we don't have the exact date. We're working on doing that right now. We are waiting to get our finalized budget for the upcoming 24-25 year. So we're waiting for the Department of Budget Management to provide us with those numbers. But then again, we're also we're pressing through to do our reconciliation for the programs. It does get difficult at times because we are still waiting for some institutions to finish their processing of students who are awarded. So you may have awarded a student, but the school may have not requested payment. Therefore, because the school has not requested payment, that fund is kind of in limbo, where it could either be a balance that's forward over, or it could be funds that are not available. So we're pressing through to get that. We're looking at definitely trying to have that done before the end of this month coming up. But that's why we wanted to give students, or I'm sorry, not students, the legislators, their initial allocation so they can move forward at least with awarding based off the initial allocation.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Delegate Solomon, if you will come off unmute, sir.
Thank you, Derek, and Al, thank you for the presentation. I guess I've got two questions. I'll ask the first is more of a technical question that we received actually from a member of our county council, that they had been working with undocumented students who were in the process of filling out the MISFA, and they have apparently been told that you cannot complete the MISFA on a Chromebook, a mobile device, or a Mac, that it can only be completed on a Windows PC. Is that accurate?
So it was accurate at one point in time, unfortunately, because of the way that the system was configured. We are working on our RFP. We've already submitted it for a new system. But we have worked with the vendor that an individual can use it on a Chromebook. The only thing that an individual can't complete the application on is their phone. So it does now work on a Chromebook and other devices, just not a mobile phone.
So are there students who began on the MISFA piece who began the application, or they were just, if you attempted to open it on any of those platforms, you just would have been denied?
So if you attempted to open it on your phone, it would have said it doesn't support it and not let the individual even move forward. Again, the other applications, they can complete it on there. So if that individual is having an issue, even if you want to direct them to me, and I'll have one of my associate directors, or if not myself, assist the student, then we can do that.
So is the new RFP going to allow this to be used? I mean, I guess I'm a little frustrated knowing, I mean, having taught in a low-income school myself, I mean, a lot of our students, especially in low-income communities, can only really access, the predominant means of access is through a phone. Is the new RFP going to have a system that allows access on mobile? I mean, even the federal government, the FAFSA app, has a mobile app.
Yeah, so that is one of the requirements in the new RFP.
And is that going to be ready to go by next year, or what's the timeline for completion on that?
The mandate within law is that we have to have that available by July 1st, 2025. So we are pushing to try to have that done as much as possible. Like I said, the RFP is out now, so we're still waiting for companies to put in their proposals for us to select a new company to build it.
Okay. I think I may follow up with you on that one, just to get a better sense of exactly how the RFP is proceeding. Then I guess this is sort of a more global question, and I'm sorry that you all are going to sort of bear the brunt. I'll just be upfront, bear the brunt of sort of my frustration here. But I guess what I was sort of hoping to hear, and I think this falls, frankly, this is a failure really of all of us. And what I don't see is sort of an all hands on deck approach from MSDE or from the university system. I mean, so our completion rate is literally 38% as a state, lower than it was at this point last year. And obviously we're at the mercy somewhat of what the FAFSA platform is. And this is not unique to Maryland, obviously. We're in the sort of middle of the pack. I mean, there's schools within Montgomery County that range. I mean, we have one school that only has, I think, a 6% drop off, but I have a school in my district that has a 50% drop off. So I'm terrified that we are literally going to look at a generation of students this year who just did not complete the financial aid form and will just sort of melt away. And I guess what's the sort of all hands on deck plan? I mean, if we were to sponsor, like FAFSA nights within our system, I mean, what is the sort of coordinated effort at the state level working with our LEAs and with MSDE to dramatically boost this statewide number from where it is right now in the next 6 weeks?
Sure. So, I mean, definitely we've been pushing that effort since we knew that the FAFSA was going to come open December 30th. We did a statewide presentation with the LEAs, high school guidance counselors, trying to encourage them to get their students to complete the FAFSA. Went to a workshop pushing students to complete or at least do their FSA ID, their username and password, have their parents do it. We work with MSDE pushing out. The high schools have their high school plans, their FAFSA plans that the FAC committee went over and reviewed and gave them different advice to do. And I think we keep continuing to do that. We work with nonprofit agencies that they're doing their FAFSA. And, what they've indicated is, especially in the lower socioeconomic areas, a lot of individuals are frustrated. And it's just them trying to do it and different issues with completing that FAFSA with the federal government. As like you said, pushes, what we're doing right now, not only meeting with you, the legislators, but we've met with several different entities today, continuing to work with MSDE to push information, meet with the counselors, anything that we can do to assist students. So, the push is anything that comes in mind. I know the secretary, myself, Mr. Coley, even our chair, have pushed of anything that we can think of that we're doing, and any suggestions that you may have or other legislators may have, we're welcome to hear those and see what we can do.
I mean, has there been, and look, I don't know if you all have the money for this, but at some point in MSDE, I mean, there has to be resources somewhere. I mean, like a public outreach campaign. I mean, I think there's been chatter obviously about FAFSA, but I do not see like a full court press. And again, I mean, I think this isn't directed at you all. You
Right.
are the agency that sort of oversees this. I mean, I think this is contingent on all of us. I mean, even sending graphics to, to legislators, or information that we can post, information that we can share? I mean, can we run TV ads? I mean, I'm worried that doing the usual thing that we've been doing is going to result, because of all this stuff at the federal level, at a 38% drop off in FAFSA is just cataclysmic for our college going students. So I don't know. I feel like we need to think very creatively and outside the box here, or we're going to be, in a really tough position with our young people.
Well, Douglas Solomon, you brought up a good point, and we are kicking this off in terms of the final push for FAFSA week, but more importantly, we are running through the tape for an entire month here at the agency under Dr. Ryan and Governor Westmore's leadership. We will continue pushing the FAFSA on all platforms. We were already in probably the 8th engine cylinder. We're going to the 12th at this point now because of the fact that the needle's not moving. And we will increase our social media presence, as well as we're exploring radio and TV ads as well at this point. Additionally, Douglas Solomon, this is our 4th call today in terms of stakeholders across the state of Maryland. In the nonprofit call this morning, we had over 100 participants because this is an all hands on deck. This is bigger than just one agency or 2 agencies. This is something that has to be spread far and wide, to your point. Regarding the question regarding MSDE, our understanding is that interim superintendent, Dr. Wright, did send a letter out. Dr. Wright provided some insight in terms of where we were for that letter to all LEAs. LEA segment across the state had about 50 participants today on our virtual call as well. And we did reach out to them, and I sent a message reminder to MSDE this morning as well, saying, please push this message one more time regarding the FAFSA completion, and that way they can hear it directly from us as relates to the time frame and where we are as a state agency ensuring financial aid is delivered to those students in need, Doug Solomon. And so we will continue to push and have strategic insight with respect to all segments and stakeholders across the state. So we hear you loud and clear. All we can say is bear with us and keep your eyes open, and please continue to support and help us as much as possible, sir.
Yeah, I mean, any materials that you have that you can share with us, or graphics. I mean, our office will probably be putting some stuff together that we can share with our caucus. But yeah, I mean, anything that you all have, I think any soapbox that anybody can use, and obviously, the administration has a bigger soapbox than most of us. Just getting this out as far and wide. And again, this is on all of us, so it's not directed at you guys. Just we're going to be in a world of pain as a state in our goals if we don't get this number up. But thank you all.
No, Douglas Solomon, thank you. No, Al and I are losing sleep behind this as fact. I took a snippet today of where we are in terms of the state of Maryland on the FAFSA tracker. And full disclosure, I want to see where we will be within the next 4 to 5 days after our impressions this week. It just seems like that number has been stuck at 33-34% for the past 2 weeks. And we've heard from some people in the field saying that, to your point, the FAFSA has been very cumbersome, and there are people who are very frustrated and who are walking away. But we're going to keep pushing as much as we can, Doug. So, are there any additional questions? And yes, we will be emailing you all a one-page fact sheet as well. I see the question here from Jennifer as well as Tammy. We will send that information out as well to your offices to share far and wide as well after today's call. Are there any additional questions for Al? Because we do have a state partner, and all of you on the call, this may be another carrot with respect to those students who are very much interested in post-secondary education and educational dreams, but may not be ready. Al, thank you for your presentation. But on the call today, in partnership with our agency, is Brittany Stevens from the Maryland Department of Service and Civic Innovation. Brittany is going to talk about the service year, growth year opportunity for students, and how it fits in to the larger picture with respect to higher education here in the state of Maryland. But more importantly, as we know from the Key Bridge tragedy, how critical it is for all of us to come together as neighbors and members in our community to help one another through public service. And with that, Brittany, thank you for being here. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Derek, so much for inviting the Department of Service and Civic Innovation. So I would like to introduce to some and re-inform others about the great work that we are doing. Of course, we are the newest agency in state government, the Department of Service and Civic Innovation. I would like to say as a bragging point, I think we're the best agency just because I know a lot of state people are on this call right now. But I also have my other colleague, Megan Music, who will be on at the end to help us with some questions. But yes, I'm Brittany Stevens, and I serve as the member recruitment lead for the department. And what is it that we do? So as Derek has so adequately stated, we have the Maryland Corps Service Year Option. This is an amazing program brought to you by our very fine governor that has started last year, only in April, through the SERVE Act. And the SERVE Act stands for Serving Every Region Through Vocation Exploration. And it is for the entire state of Maryland. So I'll start with the service year option, which I like to call our growth year. Many of you may think it's a gap year, but I like to say a growth year because you're not only just earning money, you're learning as well. So the program is a 9-month program in which members are placed to the best of our ability to something that they're passionate about, something that makes their heart beat a little bit more, something that is going to help them thrive in the future. What we do is we match them to either a nonprofit, for-profit, or a government agency across the state of Maryland. Another great thing about our matching process is that we definitely make sure that our members are placed in organizations that are in close perspective to their home. We don't want someone that is in Baltimore City having to work in Caroline County and vice versa. We make sure that we have host site partners, and those are our partnering organizations, our nonprofit, our for-profits or government agencies that are close into that area. If you don't remember anything else from this presentation, remember this: serve.maryland.gov. That again is serve.maryland.gov. That is our website where you can find the application for both our members and our host site partners. Host site partners, you can still apply. Please advocate, push this message forward so we can spread it wide and far. Serve.maryland.gov. Host site applications are going to be due by May 1st. Member applications, our second deadline is on May 15th. An amazing program. So what is it? I heard about the program. I hear that I'm going to be matched to a government agency, a nonprofit or for-profit, but what are the benefits? I'm glad that someone was asking about that because here's the benefits for you. The benefits is each member earns minimally $15 an hour for 9 months. You have on-site mentorship. We have coaches that check in with our members every other week. And not to mention that, we also have wraparound services. Our wraparound services include, but not limited to, professional development. And our professional development is not a bore at all. We have financial literacy and education. We teach advocacy, resume writing skills, interview skills, personal branding, how to navigate your salary, how to negotiate your salary as well. We do those things and more with our professional development. Also, we do have wraparound services that help with bill pay, housing, clothing, food, transportation, and childcare. All of our members even get health care benefits as well. I know what you're thinking right now. I've heard about this program before, or I might just be hearing this for the first time. This is amazing, but it gets even better. At the end of the program, each member earns $6,000. That's $6,000 right there. That can be a life-changing thing for many of the members across the state of Maryland. Now, we do put that $6,000 into 2 different ways. The first way is if someone is taking this as a gap or growth year, we'll put that $6,000 into a Maryland 529 campaign. We don't just hand it to them because we want to make it sure that that $6,000 is going to tuition and not Chipotle and Chick-fil-A like I like. Right? So that's what we do for that. However, if college is not in your near future, that's okay as well. That $6,000 is going to go directly to you within a cash stipend. Amazing opportunity. So once again, applications are open right now. We have it for service year option. That's anyone 18 to 21, recent high school graduates or completion of their GED. Then there's the Maryland Core, 2 streams, 1 river. Maryland Core is anyone that is 18 years of old or older. So you can be 99 years old in that program as well. We also accept those that are undocumented. If you have an intellectual or a physical differences, we have accommodations for you as well. It is an amazing program. Wraparound services, minimally $15 an hour. We have concentrated fields, focus fields that we work in: climate, historic trades. We also have environment. We have public health, public safety, and IT. Those are our focus areas. However, we have organizations that match any and every person's need. So once again, the service share option, the Maryland Core program, is another option. Please push this message forward. We are far and wide. I have so many miles on my car because I'm on the Eastern Shore, Mountain Maryland, Central Maryland, and Southern Maryland at any given time of the week. And it has been an amazing program. Our members are even joining with those that they may not have ever known if they weren't in this program. The exposure in this program is absolutely amazing, right? We're having that wraparound services. It's a truly invaluable program for the state of Maryland. And this is the first state-backed program in the nation. Maryland, the state that you're in, the first. We're doing it, and we're doing it very well. So once again, serve.maryland.gov. Applications are currently open. We are accepting members. Our first cohort, we have nearly 300 members in that cohort. Our second cohort, we will be starting on September 11th. We're going to be accepting 600 new members. Next year, 1,000 members. The year after that, 2,000 members. It's going to keep growing with your help and your support of getting that message out there. So definitely want to thank MHAC for inviting us to this conversation for today. Please continue to amplify the voice and let the persons know that there is another option for you if you're not quite ready for college, if you don't want to go into military services, or you just really want to get back into your career. This is a program for any and everybody, but most importantly, those persons that are recently graduating from high school or the completion of their GED. So I'll yield right there to see if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, or you can raise your hand either way. And we would love to have those questions answered from the Maryland Department of Service and Civic Innovation regarding the service year / gap year, as Brittany just stated. And also, we still have outdoor set as well if there are additional questions regarding the FAFSA and financial aid as well here at Impact. And again, for those of you who would like the fact sheets, we will be sending those to you, to all legislative offices as well, with the information to your attention as well. So please keep your eyes open for those frequently asked questions, one-pagers to share with your constituents as well, and your outgoing information as well. And that will be very helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. We dedicated an hour and a half. If there are no additional questions, again, you know how to reach us. We're here in the state as well. Please feel free to reach out to either MHEC or DSCI. And by all means, we will provide a response to your offices and in a timely manner. And again, thank you for logging on virtually, and thank you for your commitment to building the state of Maryland. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I do have one question before we go. Al, this looks like this for you. FAFSA is taking so long to send us a summary regarding our application. How soon can we expect it?
So you should have received it already, because if we receive the ISER, the Institution of Student Information Record, the Department of Education should have sent each student a STAR. But students can also log onto their studentaid.gov website. I've completed the FAFSA for my child, and I was able to go on and see the record as well as any communication that they sent. They just recently opened up the FAFSA for any type of corrections that people need to make. So you should have received that already. It usually takes about 5 to 7 days for the FAFSA to process, and then they receive that communication. Definitely go and check on studentaid.gov to see where your record is at, to see if they processed it, any communication. Also, definitely you can contact the Department of Education. If they say they've received it or you see that it's done and you're asking about us, definitely look on April 22nd, because you should see it in empty caps. If you do not see it in empty caps on Monday, then give us a call and we will see what's going on to confirm that at least we received it.
All right. Thank you, Al. Thank you for that response. All right. Seeing no further questions, again, I want to thank you all for being with us today. And Delegate Solomon, we hear your message loud and clear, and we will continue to press on and run this race through the tape to finish it, and hopefully, in all measures, move the needle regarding the FAFSA completion for students across the state of Maryland and families. Thank you all again. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Take care.